my name is Donna Clayton, and this is my story about how I set up my own training academy. I wanted to share with you my journey, peaks and the troughs, highs and lows of how I actually managed to set up my own training academy and for it to become what it has become today, and to be able to put me in a position where I can help other people to do exactly the same thing as well. So I came off the back of teaching in FE for 14 years. Definitely thought I obviously thought I knew everything. And obviously whilst I knew a lot from my time of teaching in a college and getting through Ofsted reports and things like that as well, running different programs, various different things, I thought I should be able to go out alone. And boy, was I wrong. I was very naive. It was a big learning curve as well. I had a very young son at the time. He was only 3, and so I could only work kind of part-time hours as well, restricted hours around nursery, and I found that quite tough as well actually when I first started. So I spent some months kind of setting up manuals, applying for accreditation, buying the equipment in and things as well. I made a Facebook page, I made a web page that I spent ages on too. I spent hundreds on a newspaper article and like an advert as well that in there that got me like 1 lead. And even that lead didn't work out either as well. So, I put out this advert. And I sat there thinking to myself, like, I don't even know, like, I've opened, why have they not come flocking? I've decided to do this. Why haven't they come flocking? Which I think is a position a lot of people kind of get into as well, is that we have all these amazing skills and we're desperate to share them with other people. And we have these really great ideas of how we can share them with other people. But obviously, just because we deign to open doesn't mean to say they're going to come flocking and running to our door when they've been going somewhere else or something like that. So, I've had my business now for kind of moving on kind of sort of 6.5 years now, I guess, if you want to be kind of technical about when I actually registered with HRMC with that. And it took probably a good 3 years to really gain some kind of real traction, some real movement, I have to say, on my part. So I did everything. I tried loads of different things. I did paid Facebook ads. I did some joint ventures. I was an affiliate educator with some brands. Some of those brands I had to buy into. And whilst I was teaching for their brands, I thought, great, I'm going to get some people coming through. Then they'll see me. Then they'll want to buy from me. But some of them just wanted to come for the brand and then go again. So there was things like that I learned kind of the hard way, really. I put lots of special offers out there, and I dropped my prices a little bit. I thought maybe I'd price too high. I spent a lot of time looking at my competitors and potential kind of competitors and people across the country as well to kind of set my pricing, which really wasn't kind of the best thing to do, really. And so that meant I was lowering things down. I wasn't getting the return on the time and the investment I was kind of putting into as well, which was a bit of an issue. And obviously, you waste quite a lot of time just busy looking at other people. It kind of comes across as well. And then every advert I put out, sometimes I'd get some traction with it, sometimes I wouldn't. It was kind of tumbleweed, really, to be honest. And getting new clients was like the biggest thing for me. I was very, very fortunate, I guess, that I was in contact with a lot of the students that I taught over the 14 years. So they wanted to come and do some bits and pieces. They, were very, very lovely, and came and sort of sought me out first, which was fantastic. And I already had a rapport with them. But to kind of get new clients in was really hard. To build up a rapport as well was really hard to get new clients in. As I kind of began to sort of think about moving forward, I thought the answer was to be trained in practically everything. So everything I had trained in over the years, I was squirrel away, writing manuals, getting courses up and running. Someone would suggest something to me and say, hey, do you do this? I'm like, no, I don't, but I'll go and do that. And so off I went, running along, paid out money, got trained in it, might get a little bit of a boom with a couple of bodies coming through the doors, and then nothing would happen again and things would drop off. And so I went through this really kind of weird pattern of living off of the highs when things were going really, really well. And then obviously then having to like use those highs to help me get me through those kind of troughs, if you like, really, those kind of areas where things slow down a little bit. And there were kind of particular times of year when things would be very, very quiet. And I was still picking up some clients as well. So then I began tracing breadcrumbs as well by doing clients and trying to keep my hand in. But that got very tricky because I'd kind of do a client, then I'd go to teaching, then I'd do some more clients afterwards, because it was anything I could do to kind of get the money in. And that's where my focus was. I will hold my hands up to that. That is where my focus purely was. But when I started to take my focus away from that a little bit, started to focus more about what my students needed, on what my students' needs were, what their goals were, that's when I started to get a little bit more traction as well. That's when I started to gain a little bit more momentum and get a little bit more of kind of consistency running through. And it's always, you know, the more effort you kind of put into something and the more you focus on everything as well. So I started to kind of look at everything, restructure, redid the prices again, trimmed the fat, if you like. I took off things that I wasn't really using, no longer needed, or didn't quite fit into my main kind of plan and my offering. I think I was offering way too much broad spectrum of stuff, and I think it was really difficult for people to identify who I was, like what was my main thing that I was going to be known for. And that was kind of my biggest problem, I guess, really. So moving forward, then I started getting a little bit more traction. Once I started really focusing on these things and doubling down on these areas, concentrating on my learner, making them the central kind of part. Still made a few mistakes, you know, it's going to happen. So I still made a few kind of mistakes. You know, I trimmed that fat a little bit more, which obviously made life a little bit easier, readjusted some of the hours I was teaching and things as well. And I started to really kind of gain a lot more momentum as well, and really start to build a lot of very good repeat business. I'd say I've got quite an organic kind of business, I guess, in terms of I haven't had to kind of over the years go out and find too many brand new clients. You know, I get lots of new clients through other avenues now. I'm kind of getting pretty good at that. But it's, you know, very good at kind of nurturing the ones that you do have. And I get students to come back time and time again for me. Or even just want to pop in for a chat because they miss me so much, which is fantastic as well. I love it, you know, and I kind of, you know, you build up a nice rapport to people that they're very comfortable coming in. They come in, they make the tea, which is fab. I've got some great tea makers as well while we're kind of still setting up and things. And yet again, I'm still pressing forward and I'm still asking the right questions. What is it they want? What is it they need? What fits into their life better? And how can I make their life better, and how can I make them hit their goals? And again, that's when that sort of transformation comes again. So again, I had another kind of thing again about sort of a year, 18 months ago, where I really wanted to start to kind of really change and shape my business more. And that's been really, really good. I've been able to help my students reach their goals. They're opening up salons, which is fantastic. They're working really well for themselves, maybe working from home. It's so rewarding to see your students do really, really well. And I've even got students now that are going into teaching, which is even better and fantastic, and asking me my advice on that as well. So that's really great. So it's taken some time to really build that traction. And I guess from knowing really nothing about, only knowing kind of from books about marketing and things like that, it's taken a long time. And I have had to invest. I've had to invest in business coaches. I read loads of business kind of books and things as well, and also I read loads of the day job kind of books as well. I'm forever picking up anatomy and physiology books or medical aesthetic kind of books as well. And we have so many cool changes kind of in the industry, don't we, really? It's really easy to kind of become that kind of shiny object kind of person where you see something new that comes on board and you think, oh, I probably should do that. That will probably get me more people. And that's not always the case, not necessarily the case, because again, it's about learning about who your target market was. And I really didn't know that when I first started. So every time I was putting an advert out, I didn't know who I was talking to. It was, no wonder it was tumbleweed, because it wasn't geared up for the people it was supposed to be aimed at. And I hadn't really thought about where I would find them as well. So for me, now kind of moving on, now I've got this kind of like, you know, business model kind of in place that works really, really well for my business and will work on lots of other different levels as well for other people's businesses. I've now spent kind of probably about the last year or two seeing a lot of questions on forums, and the same questions come up over and over again about how do you get into teaching, what's the best course of kind of getting into teaching, what's the best kind of jobs, is it easy to work with other people or not, you know, who's the best accreditation bodies to go with. That's kind of one of the biggest thing that kind of comes up. And again, you know, it's each to their own. It depends on your own business. Again, I've changed my accreditation companies 3 times because it hasn't worked for my business and it hasn't really worked with my future plans as well. So I've had to tweak and change and modify and adapt. Of course, every time I do that, that costs me a lot of money. And it isn't a cheap thing to set up. It costs a lot of money. It's a lot of investment to kind of set up and buy all these different things as well that you need. And your time as well. Your time is very valuable while you're doing that sort of stuff. You're not earning from something else. Maybe you've got a salon or something like that and you're bringing that money in, but the time that you're not working in the salon and you're writing your other stuff, you know, there's money being taken away from you as well. So I spent a lot of time really kind of looking on forums and answering lots of questions, helping people out in private messenger chats, or even the odd phone call as well I've done, or the odd email. And it's the same things over and over and over again that I've been answering questions on as well. So which kind of prompted me to kind of take a really good objective look at this side of the industry as well. And we have some great movers and shakers in the business as well, which I think is fantastic. And a lot of people striving forward to push the quality, which is amazing. And I'm really pleased that we have people that do that. You can now, you know, we never even had the option, you can now buy manuals, which is fantastic, which can save you a job, and you can tweak and change those, or you can buy licensing for manuals. There's some companies that do the licensing for the manuals as well. Sometimes that fits in your business model, sometimes that doesn't. And, you know, so we've got things like that now that just makes our life a little bit kind of easier, but then we've got a lot of choice in terms of the accreditation companies and things as well. And obviously one of the things that kind of I really want to kind of help people out with now is to really start moving their businesses forward, moving the training side of things forward. And whilst there is accreditation companies out there, they'll give you a little bit of guidance. You can get obviously like manuals and things like that, which is really cool and really helpful. There's not really a lot that actually teaches you all the other stuff. So you can set up and get your accreditation, and you can get your manuals and things all sorted. It's still a what next then, isn't it? It's still very much, well, what do I do now? And you can do all of those things. Get all your manuals in place, get your lesson plans in place. You can do your Facebook page, you can do your website, you can buy your accreditation, and it's still the what now. It's still the what next. What else is going to help you now? And you can still get tumbleweed, and you can still be back in that same place I was back when I first started as well, and still spend 3 or 4 years kind of just trying to build something slowly, lots of trial and error. As well, because again, it's about focusing down onto some of the other areas that you need, some of the other more kind of business areas, focusing on exactly what it is your students actually need and how to get that, and organising all your systems in place as well, getting everything all behind the scenes in place, making it as seamless as possible when your students come on board, and giving them the best experience you possibly can. So this is basically why I've now kind of started doing these tutorials, and I've started building the Academy Creator, because I want to help you, and I want to help people with their guidance, helping them set up their businesses, getting their visions and their values in place, getting their target market hit in just the right way, so you haven't got to sit there and put out a post and then just get tumbleweed. You haven't got to sit there and put posts on those of like Facebook selling sites to try and get someone, and then you're getting all the wrong people, or you're just buying into every new thing that's going as well. You know, I see so many people out there that are doing such a wonderful job and have got so much to offer, but they offer such a pick mix of things as well that I find it really hard to identify what it is that they're specialising in. And sometimes it's really just not clear from their Facebook pages as well, that they offer so much in there that I think, well, actually, you know, if I asked you to walk the dog, would you do that too? Because I don't really know exactly what you do. And I can't, you know, would you just take on anything? And sometimes that comes over and becomes quite apparent as well. So my job now is really to help you get everything set up that you need, making sure that you've got all your systems in place. By running a 12-week program, we can get everything doubled down. You can have access to all my resources. I'm an open book. You can have all my models and templates. You can have my policies and procedures all in place, so you can pick those up, tweak them for yourself. They're not licensed or anything like that, so you can have those, tweak them, change them to whatever you want to do. They're yours for good. So if you decide to sell your business later on, you'll still be able to do that. That means that, you know, that will become your intellectual property, so you can utilize all my paperwork as well. That's absolutely fine. I don't mind helping you out with that. What I'm not going to do is do all the work for you, though. You are going to have to write your own manuals, you are going to have to work with your own visions and goals, and we're going to have to really work together in identifying who your target market is, how to find them, how to communicate with them as well. Really start to build up a decent database in which you can contact people with and get a return on your investment, and start to kind of really kind of get some traction, and to kind of skip the 3 years that I had really that it took to kind of build my business up with. I kind of want to skip that bit with you, and I kind of want you to hit the ground running. And not only are we going to do that kind of for the 12 weeks and have at least one, if not several courses, we're also then going to have another 3 months where we'll be able to spend some time kind of talking to each other, and I'll be able to coach you through any problems that arise, any questions that you've got as they come along, issues that you have, like with students. Once you get started, I'll be there for the first 3 months, kind of hold your hand through those little bits, and I'll just be on the end of a phone for you as well. So obviously, if you have any questions, please feel free to contact me. My contact details are always on the page, and I will always put links in for you. So please feel free to contact me whenever you want to, and I'll happily answer your questions as well. But I look forward to working with you. Have a great day.